So welcome back to room one-on-one with the Homeboys. Celtic are on the road again, but just up the M74 to Lanarkshire and Motherwells. So I'm delighted to welcome back to the show Ross Mitchell, Mitch, fresh from a close but no cigar visit to Glasgow on the weekend. Well, Ross, how are you, baby?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Yourself?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. I'm looking forward to chatting to you again, mate. We've never really had a sit down. We done obviously the away fan thing, but it'd be good to get your thoughts on the team. Doing my research, lots to talk about. Aye. So, as I said, I think loads and loads have happened at Fir Park since we last speak. But again, as always, we're early enough in the season that it's good to go and put a bit of context and look back at last season, right? So the Steelmen started last season with Graham Alexander in place after his top six finished the previous season, and that fifth place guaranteed the Steelmen European football again. So Motherwell were drawn. I'm sorry to bring this back up because I remember it saying Motherwell were drawn with Sligo Rovers in the Irish League in the second qualifying round of the UEFA Conference League. A disappointing 1-0 home defeat. I remember watching that, was followed by an even more disappointing 2-0 away defeat. So that 3-0 aggregate win ended Motherwell's European hopes for the season. Right? That result, and moreover, I would guess, the performance of that games put an end to Alexander's Scottish adventures, as on the 29th of July, 2 days before the start of the season, the club and manager mutually decided to part ways. Stephen Hamill, who had taken on the academy director's role at the club since retiring in 2018, took up his first managerial role and became caretaker for the foreseeable future. Right, before we kind of jump on to that, what was your thoughts on that, mate? I mean, was it a case of he had to go? Because I do remember watching the Sligo game, and I remember getting really pissed off watching it because, like I've said to you before, I want all bar one team. I want us Scottish teams to do well in Europe, and it's always good. Do you know what I mean? And it was garbage. It was absolutely garbage. But after the way the season went before, was there any kind of hope for him in your head?
He'd been away well before the season finished, and see if I reflect back, I mean, the first half of the season under Alexander that season, we were actually all right up to Christmas. We're playing. I think, do you know what? We're actually going quite well. We must have been, because we went on an absolutely horrific one. Probably just after he signed a new contract, I think in the January.
That's right.
We threw a stupid contract at him, 3 years or something. Really, because his record was, probably similar. Well, not quite the same level, but comparison to other teams like Kettlewell's doing just now. I mean, he was head and shoulders above everybody else, or all the provincial clubs. So probably wasn't nobody complained when they threw the contract at him. But what I would say, the football was shit. The football was terrible. It was a case of go 1-0 up and we would have 7 defenders on the pitch. And to be fair, he's now down at MK Dons. A lot of their fans are saying exactly the same thing, which is quite strange. But we
see that part. I think that part is fine if you are getting third place finishes. If you're getting fourth place for every year, I think you're kind of going, well, I'll offset my ultimate enjoyment by the fact that I'm getting this one and I'm up there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think, as you say, you're getting a 1-0 win, but you're sitting in seventh and all that. You're like, balls to this.
It was shit. And we stumbled all the way to the point we nearly missed out at the top 6.
That's right,
We were shit for January through. It was a game away to Livingston.
I was going to say, just picked them,
We picked them that day. It was 2 late goals. We were 1-0 down. We scored 2 really late goals in the game, and that basically stopped him getting the sack. For me, he should have been out the door at that point.
Really, right, okay.
But you're at the point of going, he's probably achieved what you expected him to do. Top 6, you can't sack him. And we actually played. We actually went a reasonable run between there and the end of the season, but and we secured that European spot. But the Sligo one, you could tell the players had chucked it. I mean, it was
right.
The home. We've been caught out before, on the cold. Playing a team that have maybe had a few games under their belt. We're obviously just going back. First kicking the ball after the summer, and we've been caught out before with the Welsh team, Llanelli. We lost 1-0 at home. This was under Jim Gannon, but we then went down them trounced 3-0 really comfortably. And I think a lot of people would expected the same type of thing after the first leg. As we had a couple of chances in the first leg, 1-0, obviously quite annoyed, but the performance the second leg was absolutely disgusting. It was disgraceful. And I mean, there was no way he could survive after that. I mean, to be honest, he was away before the team bus left the stadium. in Sligo. He was done and dusted. He never got announced till about lunchtime the following day, but he was away almost immediately after that. So, but yeah, so I mean that Sligo one was he had to go. He had to go, and obviously the red quality, the Stevie Hamill. Yeah. Do you want me just to go into that just now and give you my thoughts?
We'll catch up and put a bit of context on his spell. So you had an opening day win over St Mirren, which after that I suppose was a nice reprieve. And despite a 2-1 home defeat by St Johnstone, wins over Aberdeen and Livingston was good enough. And that ultimately that period saw Hamilton appointed full-time manager.
Yeah.
So right up to the World Cup, if you go and look back, things weren't great, right? So you had some good wins in there, but they were generally surrounded by losing runs. Yeah. So come the 12th of November, a 1-1 away draw with St Johnstone meant that after 16 games, Motherwell sat 9th place, 17 points, 5 wins, 2 draws, 9 defeats, 3 points behind Hibs in 8th, 2 points ahead of Ross County in 10th.
Yeah.
So after coming through the Alexander thing, you've said in your head it was done. Yeah. You would even have cut him the year before. Now you've got basically a club legend in front of you, and he's no doubt trying his best. But was it at that point you were kind of going, "This isn't working"?
It wasn't working fairly. When we spoke, I'm sure when we spoke, from the away fans thing we done, that was probably just before the World Cup or around that time.
That's right. It was around the World Cup, yeah.
Was it? And I think I said to you at that point, I said, I don't think he's a man for it, but it needs to work. It needs to work. It didn't work. I mean, the point, I mean, you're absolutely bang on. You're up to the World Cup there. If I go back to the appointment, actually, there was 3 guys in the frame. Hamill, because he was caretaker. And to be honest with you, I mean, there was no first team experience at all. He had been a first team coach. I mean, he was basically the monk monitor, getting promoted up to the head teacher in the school. That's the way you look at it. He was head of the youth. And suppose the positive thing is he knows the youth, etc. But he was appointed, and they supposedly had this list of all these targets, to try and bring in. Not a lot of that materialised. The other 2 actually in the frame. One was Simo Valakari. You might recall the Finnish.
I do remember him, yeah.
In the 90s. When they left us, we went to Derby. He's been doing reasonably well out in Finland. I think this is the second time now he's applied for our job, been interviewed and not got it. And he seems to be quite well sort of liked out there. I think there's potentially a contractual issue though, with regards to compensation. We just obviously can't to be porting out that serious money. And the other one was he was referred to as a mystery box guy, and it's actually the boy Nick Montgomery that's now at Hibs.
Right.
He was the other one.
Jeez.
But I was looking at those 3, and I thought obviously the Valakari thing wasn't going to work. It was actually I was keen to take a punt on Montgomery, to be honest, because it was something different. And to be honest, I just didn't think Hamill was the right man. Sadly, it was proven right. I mean, it's sad, but the actual match probably where I thought it was me done with Hamill. I thought it was time was just before Christmas. We played Kilmarnock at home, and I'm trying to recall. I think we're 2-0 up against 10 men, and we drew 2 each.
Right. Okay.
And that was about maybe a few days before Christmas or so. And I think that was that the confidence in the team just completely fell out. And we went on that again horrific run right through to losing in February to Wraith Rovers in the Scottish Cup.
Yeah.
That's everyone's seen that coming though. That tie was just a wee bit of banana skin for us. Team massively really low in confidence going up there. It didn't feel like a tie. I wasn't particularly confident going into it. But actually, if you look at the window though in January, he made some good signings last year. The boy Callum Butcher in particular was a really good signing. And I thought he came in, he done a really good job. So I don't want to completely down Hamill, especially he's never on your books as well. He's one of your good setup, I think. It's just unfortunate. The guy's an absolute Motherwell legend, post-war appearance holder, I believe. It just didn't work, and it was sad. You could see he was struggling as well behind the camera. The post-match interviews, he had this tendency. It's funny you pick these things up. Every single interview, he sat and rubbed his head like this continually, and scratching his head. I don't know if it was a nervous twitch or something, but and you picked up on it. But it was really sad the way it finished. But there was no choice. We were going down. We were absolutely out of the division.
The things are mental because the guy probably loves the club that much that the club needed him at that point, and he said aye, and they've gave him it. And as you say, see the fact that he's at that point. I mean, even now he's a director at youth director at Celtic. Right. So you've got to say that he sounds like somebody who's no desire to really be a coach. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's done it through his love for your club. You know what I mean? And it's just a shit situation for everybody. So.
Yeah. It
Right.
was probably the cheap appointment as well. You know, it was. You know, I almost asked myself, if Hamill wasn't in the building at the time, would you have been happy with him being appointed as manager?
Absolutely, exactly.
Resoundingly, is absolutely not.
No,
and I think you've still got to have that sort of mindset when you look at these things.
Yeah, right. So the football came back, and like you said, things never really improved. 3 draws, 5 defeats, no wins. It meant on the 11th of February, after that Scottish Cup defeat that you spoke about by Raith Rovers, Stevie Hamill's connection to the club ended. Stuart Kettlewell, the former Ross County player and manager, who at that point had been appointed head development coach at the club, was installed as caretaker manager. So wins over St Mirren and Hearts would see Kettlewell appointed as full-time manager on the 22nd of February. Despite a much better upturn in fortunes, the 1-1 draw with Celtic Park on the 22nd of April ultimately saw Motherwell finish in the bottom half for the season. But in that bottom half, 5 wins, 1 draw was an excellent return and meant the Motherwell stayed firmly away from any relegation concerns. So at the end of the season, from 38 games, 14 wins, 8 draws, 16 defeats, 53 goals scored, 51 conceded, a goal difference of +2. That was one of only 4 teams to have a positive goal difference. Meant the Motherwell's 50 points had them finish in 7th place, 4 points ahead of 6th place at Mirren. The split. And 4 ahead of Livingston in 8th. In the League Cup, Motherwell hosted Inverness on the last day of August, a 4-0 win, and that was rewarded with a home tie with Celtic in October in the quarterfinals. Despite a spirited game, it ended up a comfortable 4-0 win for Celtic, and the League Cup went away the Conference League. And the Scottish Cup was much the same, 2 games, a 2-0 away win over Arbroath, and then say that again?
That was a great day out of
Is that a good away day, was it?
That was the away day. That's been the highlight. That was the highlight of last season. That Arbroath away trip. Tremendous day.
I think as everybody listening to that who goes to games with other mates and all that, probably go like that. Yep, know what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
And so obviously that aforementioned 3-1 defeat away to Raith Rovers meant the cups were done for the season. So, thoughts overall on last season? Going for the Alexander, the Sligo Rovers to that middle point where you're losing a club legend, you're getting beat off of Raith Rovers, to finishing the season on a relative high.
Yeah. So the first half of the, I mean, I don't always don't tell the old thing is a game of 2 halves, a season of 2 halves and such, but right up to that February, it was shit. It was absolutely shit. From the Sligo game right round to Raith Rovers, that Scottish Cup tie, it was shit. You're dragging yourself to go to games. You're trying to find, you almost find excuses not to go. You know, at times to, you know, because it was that bad. You know, you're going, you know, you're leaving earlier, whatever it is, you're going to go for a pint and stuff. It wasn't a good period of time. And we move on when Kettlewell got appointed. Again, I thought it was very similar to that Hamill appointment. As you've been happy enough with him. If he wasn't in the building at the time, my answer again would be no. But he did have experience, you know, from manager up at Ross County. But the guy's been absolutely tremendous.
Can I jump in 2 seconds, Mitch? So obviously, like you said, we're all, us as football fans, we're all generally blinkered to our team, and we see the highlights and we hear him. But having done these podcasts, the way that the Ross County boys always spoke about Kettlewell and his time at the club, being a player, the co-manager, and then the manager, like, it was always I always thought he would be a good fit for somebody in Scotland football. I actually thought he might have went down to England for a spell. So, know that I wouldn't say I'm surprised by how he's done at Motherwell so far. But I have to say that it's encouraging because of how they spoke about him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's beyond anybody's expectations. You know, when he came in, the only thing was keep us in the division. That was the only goal that he had, and he absolutely blew out the water. You know, we only lost, was it 2 games? I want to say against Rangers and some, maybe Hibs, was it? I can't recall. And so we only lost like 2 games under him last season. We won quite a lot. I think his win percentage was somewhat 56%.
Dundee United Rangers, aye.
Dundee United Rangers, so it was. Dundee United game was quite late on, was it? That was one of the... It was, I recall the game now, actually. Big Fletcher died for a penalty, I think, from memory.
That's right. McGrath penalty.
So, but it was just totally different. I mean, it took. I think we've got to remember though. We brought new players in January. Hamill never got to really utilise those players, right? So, they need to build that wee bit into it. So, but Kettlewell utilised what he had there to the strengths. Everyone knew their job. They knew what they had to do. The new guys came in, just brought a wee bit more quality and stuff like that. As I said, Butcher in particular showed things up at the back. I mean, he's technically a centre mid. He's playing centre half for us, and he will be centre half when he's back from injury this year as well. It just showed things up. We were going out, we were playing reasonably well. We were playing with confidence. Van Veen, what a run he went on. Hitting the number of goals that he did as well. And you really think there was a wee bit of quality up front. Maybe we weren't getting, people behind him, we weren't creating as much from as the guys when they were under Kettlewell and such like. But the last part of the season was brilliant. A joy to watch. It was good to turn up and watch the team. It was confident. Watching Van Veen was brilliant. The guy was a proper maverick at our level, he banged in a stupid amount of goals. I think he threw out a joke in one of his interviews when he probably had about maybe 14, 15 goals. He was aiming for 30.
I remember that. I do remember that.
We're thinking, very good. You calm yourself down. I think that's the highest post-war, probably for us again.
Really?
I'd imagine so.
More than Higdon?
Higdon hit 27 or 28. The year he won Player of the Year was just under, I'm sure, Van Veen beat him. And I think you can back to probably like the Pettigrew 70s. Before him, I don't even know if Pettigrew hit that sort of numbers, but so if that's the sort of level you're talking about with Van Veen, and absolutely, it was a joy and it was brilliant. Good end to the season. You said there, we were safe by the split. We weren't going to get really dragged about it. I think it would have took us to lose all our games, but other teams would slit each other's throats, etc. You kind of knew going to split, you were safe, which was good. And I thought at that point they might have just a wee bit of relief, might have put their feet up a wee bit. Did they help? They were pretty much beat everybody in front of them again. So it was good. It was a good end to the season. It was enjoyable to watch as well, which is always a bonus.
Gives you that encouragement then going into the next season, doesn't it?
It does. But I know we'll go into the next season, but we already knew we were going to lose Van Veen. Their team as we signed a contract with us. He still had a year left.
We'll come to him in a second. Right. So this season, we'll start with ins and outs as always, and we'll start with the outs, right? So you can sit back and relax and let me fucking do this, and butcher any foreign names that come up across. I done a podcast with the Feyenoord boy the last week, man. I must have raped every foreign name that come up, man. You can see the boy just, do you know, like foreign people kind of just shake their head at you and laugh. That's what he was doing to me. I was like, all right. So Connor Shields, a 26-year-old striker who finished last season on loan at Queen's Park, departed for an undisclosed fee to Indian Super League side Cherry Inn. Fellow forward in last season's league second top goal scorer Kevin Van Veen departed for newly relegated side Groningen, again for an undisclosed fee, said to be around 500 grand. In his 2 seasons, he played 83 games and scored an amazing 40 goals. So, big blow. Riku Danzaki, the 23-year-old Japanese midfielder, left the club and joined Western United after making only 4 appearances. 27-year-old US winger Joseph Efford was released and signed on at PS Giannina in Greece. So young players, Robbie Mahan, Sam Campbell, Alan McDonald, Robbie Garcia, all left for loans with Edinburgh City, Annan and Cowdenbeath respectively. Ross Tierney, the diminutive Irish under-21 midfielder, joined Walsall for the season. Barry McGuire, a 25-year-old midfielder, went to Kidderminster for the season. And finally, Ricky Lamy got his desired move to Dundee again for a season-long loan. Now, ins, surprisingly enough, not a long list. Jonathan Obika, the 33-year-old former St Mirren striker, headed back up north from Morecambe for an undisclosed fee. Colin Wilkinson, a 28-year-old striker from Croydon, who represented Ireland at under-21 level, was picked up on a free from Walsall. Pape Soua, a 33-year-old Senegalese fullback, was signed on a free from Morecambe. The left-back has represented his country on 22 occasions. Macedonian defensive midfielder Davor Drazvakovsky was picked up from simply outside Limassol, again on a free, and Theo Blair, the Canadian forward, was of course picked up from St Johnstone. The club also brought in Mike Beereth from Arsenal on loan, a 6'2" forward. At 20-year-old, he's currently a Danish under-21 international. Brodie Spencer, 19-year-old Northern Irish international fullback, was signed on loan for Huddersfield. Ollie Shaw, the 25-year-old former Kelly and Ross County player, come back up the road for a year after a loan from Barnsley. And finally, Georgie Gent, what a fucking name, a 20-year-old Mancunian left back, was signed on loan from Blackburn Rovers. Right, so we're a few games down the line. Who are the standouts for the guys that were brought in? Aside for the obvious, has there been much of a blow with the guys who have left? And tell me about the Van Veen thing in your opinion.
Right, so I mean, the guys that went out the door, the only one, I think you actually you missed Dean Cornelius, I think. I didn't hear you mention him.
No, I did not mention him.
Oh, did you? Harry?
No, I didn't mention him. That you're right.
Right. So I think all the guys that left, I don't think there was any on that list. And to be honest with you, Kettlewell's done some job getting rid of the dead wood. Because again, this is an Alexander thing. Jake Carroll, I think, left as well. I don't think he was in your list either. I think he's away.
Right, sorry. There was a big bust of guys who all left, who were all released at the end. No, you're right. I've just clocked it right now. I mean, if you're looking at the guys who have left there, right, so Matthew Conley, Jake Carroll, Dan Casey, David Devine, Logan Dunnicky, Max Johnson, Evan Wilson, Josh Morris, Sean Goss, Dean Cornelius, as you said, away to Harrogate, Daniel Hunter, Cian Spears, Michael Mandarin went to St Mirren, a French forward, and Jack Aitchison, who Celtic fans would know, he went back down the road to Exeter City, plus Corey O'Donnell. So you're the 8 guys there. My apologies.
No, it's fine. So Dan Casey actually signed back on again, and he was fantastic last year. He's a centre half. Came through. I think he's an Irish lad. Played in sort of with Doncaster, I think, down south.
Right.
Went over to the States. Was playing in the second tier out there, and we brought him in. He was one of the January signings last year, just for 6 months, and he was sensational. Him and Butcher in particular, I mentioned about showing things up. He's signed on again. He's been brilliant this year. From the start of this season. Now the guys that left, right, I don't think anyone there. Sean Goss played pretty well for the last few months of the season, but he was shit for the first 18 months of his contract. So, I mean, it was a lot of guys are thinking, is this one of these guys that rocks up and starts to play when his contract's up? And I think we were actually, as a club, keen to keep him, but I think he was looking at options potentially in India. I think was a bit of chat.
Right.
I don't think he's even got a club.
Wikipedia says he doesn't. No, he's signed for Asterios Tripolis in Greece.
Okay, well.
Yeah,
good luck to him.
He's went for a bit of sun, mate.
I don't think that there's only one guy that we're talking about is Van Veen. The guy, sensational. I mean, there was actually Motherwell fans probably about a year ago saying about how he was lazy and he was shit. I mean, he didn't chase lost causes. We've had strikers in the past like Curtis Main, right? They get loads of applause because they're in the channels, right? And they'll chase lost causes and the rest of it. Van Veen only chased what he thought he was going to get and would be worthwhile chasing, right? I mean, and it was too good for us, but we knew this when we signed him. And he was a bit of a journeyman. He kicked around down south, but his problem with discipline and such like was down there, and he never really got the proper break that I think his talent deserved. And he was labelled the budget Bergkamp. And I think there was a goal in particular scored against Kelly towards the end of the season. Liam Kelly, really late in the game, Liam Kelly punted it forward, and he actually brought the ball down like Dennis Bergkamp used to bring it down, and cut inside and ran through and slotted at the bottom corner. It was a great goal. It was sensational. He was always going to leave. I think there was probably an agreement because there was talk of a Chinese bid around about January time for him, and if he went, we were down. I mean, the white flags were out at that point, But we managed to keep him, and I think there was probably an agreement saying to him, right, we'll not stand in your way, stay until the summer. If we get this level of fee, 500 grand, which, let's be honest with you, the grand scheme of things is buttons for a guy that should ping them 30 goals. Yes, 32, although he's not a young man, but still a proven goal scorer. So I think there was probably that agreement, stay, keep us up, go on your way. And he left with, a lot of respect.
And do you know anyway, did he have an intention to go back to the Netherlands, or was it just a case of, because I dare say Groningen have kind of looked at it and went for 500 grand, there's a guy scored. I mean, that league under the Eredivisie isn't fucking great, do you know what I mean? It's no great by any stretch. So you go, I mean, like a clock, I think he's got 2 and 4 so far, league-wise anyway. I just wondered, because I always think for 500 grand and for what he done and how he looked last season. I mean, the season before, you used the term maverick.
Yeah.
And that was it. It was one of the guys with one game you wouldn't see much from, and in the next game he'd fucking day three keep you up. He's involved at the top corner. But
Exactly.
last season, he was just an absolute danger every time you played him. Do you know what I mean? Even if he didn't score, he was doing his job well and stuff. So I always wondered why nobody in Scotland had a pinch at him for 500 grand.
I think the only realistically the two clubs that could take him to meet the wage demands, because I think he was getting quite a good wage, offered to him in Holland.
Right.
I think I'm only talking about your rumours. I don't have anything in concrete or anything on it, but I think somebody was talking about 10 grand or something like that.
Really? Right. Okay. Then that's
that rules out every club bar too. And let's be honest with you, as much as he's good, he would be a bench warmer for both.
Yeah.
He's not going to be a starter.
For that though to go and play in your native land, then it's common sense, isn't it? It's common sense.
Yeah. I think there was chat as well. I think his girlfriend is actually Scottish as well, and she was due a baby. Which I think I gave everyone a wee bit of hope he might kick around. But when you're getting paid £2.5 grand a week at Motherwell and you're getting over 10 grand a week somewhere else, it's not a happy situation. Exactly. So no, it was a huge loss, but I think the fact that he stuck around until the summer, kept us up, he left with best wishes, I think, for everyone involved.
Good. So you like I say, you've seen everybody new. Yeah. Who's the guys that have come in and you've went, yes, this is a good one. Because obviously, we'll come to it later. We'll talk about the game so far this season, and I've watched the highlights. So again, very, very restricted, and I've got an opinion on a couple of them. But I'd like to hear what you've seen having watched them.
Yeah. So I'll try to start from back to front on that. Probably, I mentioned about Dan Casey signing on again at centre half, just almost like a new signing. He was here 6 months last year. Brilliant, great player. Right. I think he's keep his options open. Never got a better option, and he's took up our offer, which is great.
I mean,
guys, let's be honest, guys, you're signing for Motherwell, you're not signing for Man United here.
Just to put a wee bit of context on, so he's a 25-year-old centre half, 6'1", born in Dublin, youth career in Sunderland, but ended up playing beforehand. He played in the Irish League for Bohemians in Cork, and then, as you said, went to Sacramento Republic and played there for a season. So, and then obviously yourselves.
Yeah, so smashing player, by the way. Absolutely delighted that he signed on. Really, I mean, at our level, really good centre half, really good, really mobile, gets forward as well for a centre half. Not talking just at set pieces. I think he won the penalty against Kilmarnock.
Right.
But being in the box, so he's been really. The boy Spencer that's come in, he's on loan from Huddersfield, I think it is.
Huddersfield, yeah.
Northern Irish. Youngster, he is only 19, 20. He looks a bit older. He looks quite good, by the way. He looks. I mean, he's not set the head or a light, but he's looked handy. I'd probably say he looks handy. We then sort of moved. I'm going to touch upon somebody that hasn't signed, but he is the new signing almost, is Lennon Miller.
Right. Okay. Yeah. He's on the list.
I'll tell you, I'll leave him at the end then and touch upon him. But we then sort of look. I've heard a lot of Celtic fans talking about your injury crisis, and you've had to start the likes of Scales and stuff like that. Our forward line's exactly the same here.
Right,
We brought in, so John Abika is a textbook sick note, right? He's been injured pretty much since he left St Mirren. He came up and played for us for a few months last year at the end of the season. I think he played a few games and broke down. We've gave him a contract. He broke down.
Really?
So he's out. The boy Connor Robkinson, he looked all right, by the way. He's got a good goal. He looks reasonable, got a bit about him. But again, injured, only came back and played on Sunday, was his first game back. The guy that everyone was most excited about was the boy for Arsenal, Mika, and he came on against Hibs and absolutely bullied them. The boy Stevenson, the fullback. I mean, he absolutely just bullied Stevenson out the way, cut the ball back, we scored, and then he scored that solo goal as well.
And his goals are an absolute belter. A belter. Anybody listening, I would recommend going have a gander at it.
He just bullied the guys again. But then, next game, the cup, we go to St Mirren. He's not been match fit. Comes off the bench for a wee sort of 30-minute cameo. Guy Charles Dunn used to be my old player actually. His knees fucked. He's way back to Arsenal. Probably won't see him again until Christmas.
Really? Jeez.
So we're now down to, you know, Theo Bair, we signed from St Johnstone, who was going to be our fourth choice. And I'll be honest with you, nah, he's not.
No,
he's not good enough for this level.
Greg, St Johnstone fan Greg, when I was talking about him, and I said he's went to Motherwell, and he's like, I don't know how he's managed that. That was his words to me. That's why I brought it up. He says, I don't know how he managed to get himself another gig.
Well, he's started right for us now because of nobody else. We brought Ollie Shaw in again. I don't want to write a guy off who's only played him, but he was a bit of a bottle merchant again at Kilmarnock. He bottled a really good chance yesterday. I'm not. Let's put it this way: Ollie Shaw's only signed until I think is it January, and it's only really to cover the period that the guys are injured.
Okay.
We've stumped up that money and brought in the guy on loan because we are actually around with Theo Bair only, and he's not. Do you know what? He's just not good enough for this level. The boy Mandaron left us and went to St Mirren. I would say both of them are like for like. They're no that great. Mandaron's probably slightly better, but Bair he's not good enough. His first touch is horrific. He can't strike a ball. He scored his debut actually.
I was going to say,
the guy, he's just not good enough. And he will be our fourth choice striker when the Saturday things come back. One guy to mention though, and is a new signing, is Blair Spittle. Blair Spittle went under the radar massively in Scottish football last year.
He's on my list. He's on my list, mate.
So Blair Spittle is. If Van Veen wasn't in the Motherwell side last year, Blair Spittle won Player of the Year in their team.
Really?
It was brilliant.
So what kind of, for those who don't know, for what kind of player is Blair Spittle?
Attacking midfielder, if you like. You know, plays off the striker, and that's the thing we've been playing. We've been pushing him forward. You know, he'll win the ball, he'll battle, he'll create. He's tricky. You know what? Even yesterday, he created a really good chance by getting to the byline. No really, reason to actually win the ball. Won it because he battled for it and crossed the ball back, and we had a wee chance yesterday again on the back. But he's a smashing player. And right now, he's our first name in the team sheet, you know, and a midfield three actually that are actually pretty strong. I mentioned Lennon Miller. Sorry, he's
right. Go ahead. Give the Lennon Miller stuff because he's been spoke about so many places, and like again, we're all kind of the frustrating thing for these guys is we'll sit and talk about it, and Celtic will maybe have a good game and everybody go, rubbish. Instead of kind of watching the rest of the game and kind of going, by the way, this boy's a player, do you know what I mean? So tell us about him then.
It's absolute maturity. A guy, he's only a boy, right? He's 16 years old. He's only a boy, but I mean, his movement's tremendous. I mean, he creates space for himself. He looks really mature. He looks like a guy that's played 200 games. No, a guy that's only played, a dozen matches or something like that, first team games. And we're almost at the point where everyone's getting a bit excited about him, right? I mean, they're probably the same way we get quite excited about Turnbull. He's different from Turnbull, though. He's not getting the same headlines. Turnbull was getting the headlines because he was scoring, he was getting forward.
Yeah.
Lennon Miller is a different player to Turnbull. He plays a bit deeper, and he wins the ball. This guy's going to go somewhere. He won't be at us next season. I'm absolutely certain of that. We'll get this season out.
And what's his contract situation? Is this a guy who's going to make you a good few million, or is this a guy somebody's going to come in and steal off you and you'll kind of grudgingly see him kick on down the line?
I think he's got another 2 years from the summer pass there, right? I think that's just 2 years. I think we're hopeful of signing another contract. I'm hoping that. I think we've got to all remember he's 16, right? He's not. We've got to sort of remember that. I mean, who was the last boy at 16 in Scotland that really made that? It's probably James McCarthy. You're thinking about I've been a proper young boy that could have really performed in the league. So they don't come along that often. His dad's obviously a former professional as well. He comes from a family that has a leaning towards Motherwell. I'm not saying they're all Motherwell supporters, but they've got a local leaning towards the club. I think everyone's a bit hopeful that his dad, he's got the right people in his ear that saying, you're 16, sign a new contract, stay until you're maybe 18, 19, get 200 games under your belt, and then go to your next step.
Yeah.
Because if a team down south take him, right, at 16, he's smaller than the academies, right? And these academies down south, as you know, pump out guys probably the same quality as Lennon Miller on a very regular basis. Celtic, you know, if he comes into Celtic, he's going to be getting your 21s or whatever. You know, he's going to get
the thing, it's interesting you're talking about us because we've got this dilemma, and as I've said, people who listen to this know I've said this a good few times, is we've got a team in the Lowland League.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? And you get this young guy, Lennon Miller, who might kick on with Celtic's training and stuff like that, but there's nothing for him to gain going down to the Lowland League. There's nothing.
No,
but because of the teams down there and the structure and stuff, we're kind of hamstrung in what we can do. So it makes no sense him coming to Celtic. I mean, makes absolutely no sense because he won't get a game. He's like you said. I think what you said sounds like the best plan. Or alternatively, one of the ones where somebody comes in and gives you 4 million for him and he stays with you for 2 years.
Well, that'd be dream stuff, you know.
That'd
be dream stuff. But I think realistically, I mean, we're a selling club, you know.
Of course, we all are, mate.
We all are. These are just slightly higher up the food chain.
Just a different, exactly.
But you know, we obviously sold Turnbull to you guys for what was a club record, you know, huge amount of money. Lennon will depend on the contract situation, you know, I'd be hoping we'd get something similar to that. But we just need to, the boy needs to get games under his belt and not get swallowed up. So we'll tell you what, we'll enjoy him anyway just now because he's been performing really well in that midfield three. Callum Slattery's actually another one of that three with Skittle and Miller.
On the list as well.
Well, he was signed for the youth at Southampton, I think it was. Right. That would be, this is the last year of his 3-year contract. And his first 6 months, and we thought this guy's a bit of a player. He's got a bit of something about him. Came for that sort of the English Premier Academy, was a bit stronger than the others were about him. You know that looked like a good footballer. He went off the boil. I think there was some personal issues, and there was actually a documented issue as well where he was drunk and disorderly and get arrested and stuff. At a time, and he sort of went off the boil. But this season, he's back. He's looking probably better than ever. And that's the strongest part of our team just now is that midfield three. They're absolutely solid. So I mean,
they seem to all play well off each other, eh?
They do. They complement each other really well. You know, Lennon Miller will sit, Slattery and Spittle in particular will get forward to try and support Theo Beer at the moment, are sort of going to be up front for us. So it's working well. But it'll be quite interesting to see when we come into the second run of fixtures. You know, how clubs will then play against us. Knowing that we've played this way consistently for the first sort of third of the season. So, again, we'll see. But that's where Kettlewell wins. That's where he earns his dough, isn't it? You know, by trying to change things up and having a plan B.
I mean, Kettlewell's, he has, even in his limited coaching experience, he has shown that he's really no fear to fling young guys in. And that'll help the boys. Right, okay. So this season, back to the League Cup groups for you this year after the European adventures. You were drawn in a group with Elgin, Queen of the South, Queen's Park, East Fife. 3 wins and a penalty win after a 3-3 draw with the Queens, meant that Motherwell topped the group with 11 points, 3 more than Queens in second place. That meant qualification and an away tie with St Mirren in August. A disappointing 1-0 defeat in Paisley saw he's out already. League-wise, not a bad start at all. Opening day draw with Dundee at Thames was followed by 3 wins in a bounce. 2-2-1 home wins over Hibs and Kelly, followed by a fantastic 1-0 win over Hearts at Tynecastle. However, another 1-0 defeat to St Mirren, this time at home, was followed by that very narrow 1-0 defeat at Ibrox just yesterday. Right, so we can just bounce through the games, right? And so, like I said, I've watched each of the highlights of the games and I've looked at the stats. Dundee game, more possession, slightly better chances, but the fucking weather was minging.
It was. The weather, the pitch was appalling, wasn't it? It was bloody. It was absolutely flooded, wasn't it? And the ball wasn't sort of flowing right. To be honest with you, you've got to think about games against the newly promoted team or games you're looking to take 3 points off. But you throw in the fact that it being the first game of the season, they're obviously going to be well up for it. Away game, weather, point was a good result.
Yeah. Hibs game, you gave up that bit of possession, but you looked mega dangerous. You look like, as we spoke earlier, that Beerith boy looked a fucking handful.
Absolutely.
But what I noticed in that game, and I don't know if that's right, he seemed to play a lot of play down the wide, and he's doing some amount of damage.
Aye. But I mean, I thought the Hibs game was brilliant. You know, Beereth coming in was superb. As I said, that changed the game. I thought the game was probably quite 50-50. We were going down. But you know, Beereth came in on the name, and he just bullied them. It looked exciting. It was exciting to watch.
Yeah.
You know, the minute you know he was chasing things, he was winning, he was bullying them. We scored that goal, and the tails were up at that point. You know, we were in a good place on that. So, but you've got I always look at it and think, you know, the city clubs, you know, the Hearts, the Hibs, the Rangers, the Celtic, the Aberdeen, right, the 5 big city clubs, right, mainly Dundee, Mob, and St Johnstone. The games against those 5 are games at home. We should be looking to pick something up, but might not always get the 3 points. I thought 3 points against the Hibs side, who were struggling, right, and probably weren't in great form themselves. But that was a good win. A good win against them. Moving on to Kilmarnock, I was actually at hospitality that day. It was a good day out.
Do you remember half of it?
1 or 2 bits, but that was a game that I thought we deserved the 3 points out of. To be honest, it was probably a game of 2 halves. The first half I thought we were shit. We were really poor in the first half. Created very little. Joe Efford, actually, your reference, had left to the Greek side. He only left a couple, was it last week or week before? He actually played for the first 45 minutes, and you'd have thought he'd never seen a football before in his life. It was fucking shocking. But so was Big Theo Bears. I mentioned the guy doesn't look like a footballer. And that was when we were struggling. You know, that's their first game, you know, so we didn't have any, I'm going to say no forwards, right? Because we had, you know, Ollie Shodd's been signed the day before or so, a couple of days before. He wasn't able to start. The big boy Bear up front, Effort, 2 of them absolutely hopeless. So first half was appalling, but he changed things up a little bit at half time. Got somebody to replace Effort. I can't recall who it was, but he moved Spittle in, moved Spittle forward a touch, and that just changed the game. Missed the penalty, of course, as well, but obviously we got the win. Harry Payton, there's a guy there that, I tell you what, he came in as a squad fella. See, for me, he was a guy that was probably coming in to fill the water bottles or something. I hold the guys' jackets when, you know, they were good at to the starting 11, but he's been brilliant. He's a guy that
I liked Harry Payton when he was at Dundee United. I thought he was a decent player, but as you say, kind of took his chance down south. It didn't really work for him. For what I know, everything you say, that's how I kind of viewed the game. For you to come back, get the equaliser, and then miss the penalty, and then, I mean, let's see that goal by Payton. It's very composed for that late in the game, isn't it? Because I mean, at some other points he would have just stuck the laces through it, but he's kind of took the touch. It was a great one.
It was obviously it was really late. You know, it was last kick of the ball type thing. Those wins are magic. So the last minute winners and that was
especially if you're in hospitality. Jeez.
We've got to remember as well, Kilmarnock were coming off with really good results. You know, they came off some.
Yes, I know, mate.
Of course, you know. So they were coming off some really good results coming to Fir Park. Probably, I'm not saying the bookies would have them as favourites, but a lot of guys probably thought they were worth a punt that day. And we went out, and that second half, we done enough in the second half to counter what we produced the shit in the first half to absolutely deserve the win. Which was great, and it was good to see Callum Slattery. Obviously, he missed the penalty when the goal for Payton went in. I think he was actually lying on the ground. You can see, you know, it was just delighted, I think, to that somebody sort of bailed him out that penalty miss. But again, really good 3 points. And I think that showed Kettlewell as well, willing to change it at half time, seen it wasn't working, had a plan B. And you know, you don't seem to get the best out of these guys. You know, it was Harry Payton. That's who he brought on for effort.
Right. Oh, jeez, he gets a win then. So the Hearts game, as I see it, you gave up a hell of a lot of possession. But I mean, I feel watching it, Hearts didn't have many real chances because the defence were fucking putting everything on the line, and the goal's an absolute belter to win it, especially with McGinn getting the 2 yellows and get red carded. It's an absolutely fantastic win.
It's a sensation. I mean, our record at Tynecastle was really poor. You know yourself, Tynecastle's a really tough place to go to. You know, it's probably my favourite away ground.
Yes.
You know, not my favourite away day, but my favourite stadium.
Atmosphere, aye.
The stadium, you know, it's the steepness of the stands that creates the atmosphere. Great place to go.
There's another team who's ruined it. Another fucking team have ruined it, man.
You're just down. They're even at the point we're selling out what they give us now, and we, you know, it's down that low that even clubs like Motherwell are selling out. You know, the 800 or whatever it is they're giving us now. but a really difficult place to go for everybody, you know. But this season, Hearts are in bother. Naismith looks like that's shambles. That's
some decision, wasn't it? You're talking about giving Hamill the job, but today what they have done, do you know what I mean? I mean, like, it goes back to the Nielsen thing, and you kind of go, what are we thinking to replace Nielsen with Naismith?
It totally is. I mean, it's sometimes the Hearts fans, of course, will probably go through. Maybe they'll get a bit, you know, fed up with Nielsen for other reasons.
Which is fair dues.
You know, but they've replaced it with somebody with very little quality. And obviously, as you mentioned, the way they've done it as well, because of the European licence. I'm assuming that was why they had to rename their positions and whatever it was. But I mean, going to Tynecastle, man, is a great result. And I said to you, ref was the goal there. It was a fucking smashing goal. And did you see what the lines was flagging up? He was about fucking 4 yards.
A million.
Thank fuck for VAR. It's not often I say that. But you know, that was one that, you know, I don't know, I couldn't believe it when I seen the highlights. I was like, I mean, it wasn't close in my eyes, but again, Hearts didn't have a lot of chances. Did a header that when the Japanese fellas had a header, they put over the bar the second half. I think that was really the only.
I mean, they had the kind of half chances, but like I say, like the defender coming in and sliding it and taking the ball over the bar and stuff like that. But it's St Mirren game, disappointing. More possession than you had in the cup game. You had plenty of shots, but St Mirren actually done what you done at Hearts. I think they just fought and got the win.
They've done a job on us. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it's Stephen Robinson's obviously manager. They're former manager. They're doing really well. They're doing really well. And I mean, I've got no ill feelings to Robinson. I really like what he's done with us. And but yeah, just disappointed. We had enough. And this is the same theme as we'll come on to yesterday, of course, in a minute. We had enough chances to win that game. We should not have lost that game.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
We should have won that game against.
That's again, without ever wanting to patronise you, but that's quite an achievement to see where Motherwell have come when you've got St Mirren, who everybody, I mean, ourselves included, are all going, St Mirren a decent team. Stephen Robinson's again proven himself to be a very good manager. That you're sitting here going, I'm gutted. We should have beat them. Do you know what I mean? That's quite high. And then that brings you into the game yesterday. And I only saw the second half, admittedly, and I didn't bother watching the highlights just because Rangers were 1-0 up for the first half. And aside from an offside penalty decision, I can't really remember Rangers having chances. But I saw Motherwell. I mean, I was talking to Rangers man today, and he's going, the keeper saved us. The two centre halves were flinging themselves at everything. And as much as I wanted you guys to get something for a totally selfish Celtic view, you must be mega proud, but still so frustrated at the end of that game.
It's really frustrating. I mean, our reckoning as Rangers in the league is absolutely fucking appalling, right? Taking away those two wonderful matches 8 years ago in the playoffs, right? Our record against them fucking stinks, right? We've not ever beaten them in the league since James McFadden scored. Was that be fucking 20 years ago or something? You know,
I mean, God.
It's that bad boxing. I'm sure it's Boxing Day. I mean, it's so bad. We beat them in the League Cup and stuff like that at Hampden, and that was wonderful. Really Malt and stuff. The playoff games speak for themselves. They were tremendous. Our records is shit, and to go there to Ibrox after they had a good result against Betis. I watched that game. I didn't think they were that great. I mean, they were better than they've probably been in the league.
I'd agree with that.
I still didn't think they were that great. But we were up top. We played really well. We could have actually. I mean, I'm not saying they were, sitters or anything like that, but we had a couple of chances. We had 2 or 3 chances.
Good chances. It was really before they scored, right? Okay, jeez.
We had a couple of chances before they scored. I'm not saying we were 3-0 up, but certainly with a chance to, potentially take the lead. They obviously got the stupidly ridiculous deflected goal, right? Again, that's just the shitty luck going against you. But again, they created very little. That one with the offside penalty, I'm not even convinced the keeper touched them anyway. And I would have liked to have actually had a better angle to see if it would have been a penalty. It wasn't offside, but they had maybe 1 or 2 wee scrambles in the box, nothing clear cut. Again, ourselves, we had one cleared off the line, another one potentially going wide. It was cleared off the line or behind the goalkeeper. We had 2 or 3 other chances. We had one that the boy Spencer went through by Tavernier, the referee Muir called back for a foul.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to turn around and say he was 1-on-1 with the keeper, because I think it was Davies.
No, he was. It was. He still had a fair bit to do, but it's a garbage decision. It's an absolute garbage decision.
This is probably where, you know, should the referees in that position be allowing it to continue?
Yeah, this is what VAR's for, isn't it? I mean, why is the linesman no flagging offsides for this that exact reason? So.
Exactly, it's the same reason, and I'd like to see that to play through, because I don't think there was enough in that between the two of them to bring that VAR would have said that if a goal was if there was a goal materialised, I don't think VAR would have said, you know, to disallow that from that coming together between Tavernier and Spencer. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a sore one, but I've seen a lot of Motherwell fans on social media sort of saying he was 1-on-1 with a goalkeeper. It's almost like an open goal. Davies was coming across. I mean, I think he'd have got a shot where you never know. It should have been able to play through, but I'm not going to buy into the fact that it was an open goal.
And that big keeper's decent as well, so you know what I mean.
Butland, he's been a good signing for Rangers, but I think he's the only guy they've signed. The rest of the signings are Mickey Mouse, by the way. It's quite funny to.
It's without really wanting to go into them. No matter what Nick Morelos got himself into, and he did get himself into a hell of a nick. A fit Morelos is worth about 20 than all the forwards they've got. I mean, it's wild. I mean, when he left Rangers, no matter how big he was, I was like, happy face. I'm fucking delighted. Right, okay. Yep. So this weekend, Saturday, Fir Park, 12:30 kick-off. Last season, we played 4 times. With a 2-1 at Celtic Park, then a 2-1 at Fir Park, and finally that 1-1 draw again at Celtic Park. We have, of course, had that midweek League Cup meeting that we spoke about, but even in that game was tight enough. I know Celtic won 4-0, but I'm pretty certain we didn't score at the 44th minute or something. Tight games. The fact that our managers changed and your manager had changed twice in that period. I don't think the games are really the 1-8 games more relevant than them. So this season, Kettlewells went for either 5 or 3, whatever way you kind of look at it at the back. How do you think he's going to line up this Saturday? How do you think Motherwell will approach the game? And what do you think will happen this weekend?
Well, I think for a start, I don't think he'll change much. I think we'll stick with the 5. He's been pretty consistent in that. I think it'll be the 5 and the 3. You know, those 3 midfielders I spoke about earlier. You know, Miller, Slattery, and Spittle will be in there. Whether or not he maybe sticks Payton in as well, put Steelbeer up top himself. I think that's probably the most likely outcome probably against you, just to try and get, you know, a bit more into the midfield battle. You know, our fullbacks, you know, the 3 across the back with the 2 fullbacks will probably remain as well. I don't think we'll play in much differently than probably what you're used to seeing from us under Kettlewell. I don't think we're certainly not going to gung ho, but again, I don't think he's going to do an Alexander and Park as in with 7 defenders. I think he'll set us up with an opportunity to try and keep it. We want to keep it tight, but allow us to try and create opportunities to get forward. Because if we were to go out and sit in, we'll get humped. We won't get. I mean, I know people will turn and say, "Oh, we can't throw people forward." But all we then do is give you the ball. And see, to be honest with you, keep the ball really well. You know, we can chase it for 60 minutes, but we'll be on our arse. You know, and you'll then run riot over the top of you. So I think we've got to go out there. We've got to try and play our own game. You know, we're playing.
You're at home as well.
We're at home, of course. You've got to also factor in that, you know, the fact we're at home as well. I don't think anyone would want us to get and try and park the bus and anything like that. But I don't think it may be that dissimilar in probably how we set up actually at Ibrox yesterday, to be honest. Maybe you know, we're up against a sort of the best side in the league. I don't anticipate we're going to go absolutely mental. But we don't actually have the forward options to go mental anyway. So that sort of hamstrings us a little bit. But I think you're expecting probably to line up as we have been. And not much different, but the midfield battle will be important. You know, what can I hope?
100%.
I want 3 points. You know, why would we get a game and not want 3 points? I would take a point now if you offered me it, but I want us to go out and give a reasonably good show. You know, we've made a good show in the game yesterday. We've had a good show pretty much all season, apart from the sort of the cup game against St Mirren. We didn't really show up. Even the game we lost against St Mirren, we created lots of chances. But give ourselves a chance. Is, you know, what we need to go out and do. I do think we'll struggle to score goals. You know, if we.
Well, that's interesting. I never knew all the stuff you said to me. That's why we do these shows, so guys like you can tell me about your club and tell me the best parts and the worst parts and stuff like. And I never knew about your forward line and stuff like that. It's kind of so that, for us, I'm happy.
we do have options now for Sunday because when we feel Bears not really much an option. Always Shaw again, maybe not a good option. The guy Wilkinson that we signed in the summer, play Walsall, we signed up. He came off the bench yesterday.
Right.
So again, I don't know if he's going to be fit for a 90. But we might see him again.
He'll certainly be involved.
As expected to be probably involved in it as well. So we've maybe got a better option coming back. But again, there's probably not a huge amount of goals in our forward line. And replacing a guy like Van Veen who banged in 30 of them, it's going to be difficult. And I think a lot of our forwards are going to be probably, in the 7, 8, 9 category. Is where we're going to get this year, which unfortunately might just not be enough to lift us at the top 6.
Fantastic. Right, so with all that in mind, what is the hope for the season then?
Well, I think we've got to be I don't want to be sort of really negative because I've been watching Motherwell for 30 years since I was a young lad. But, I think, I always said, give us, start with 10th and move forward. But there's a lot of dross in the league. There's a lot of dross. There's stuff in it, but we should be, comfortably above the Livingstons, the Ross Counties. St Johnstone look really, really poor this year. They're looking really a lot of bother. So, I mean, you start looking at that. You get Dundee in there as well. We should be looking to push for a top 6 place. We should look to challenge for a top 6 place. May not get there, but we should be sort of shooting in that space.
Especially the way you played this season so far, I don't see why not. And then see once you kind of push into there, then if you can start picking off Hibs and Hearts, because they're under there a bit iffy as well. It would be, but right, mate. That is. Say again, sorry.
So the home games against their teams are absolutely important. And just to throw in as well, I would quite like a Scottish Cup one as well.
The famous Scottish
was a long time ago.
Right, mate. That's it's been excellent. Really, really good. A fantastic return for you to the show, buddy. Right, before we go, where can people follow you on social media should they desire?
You'll find me on Twitter. I can't recall my handle on there, Mitchy Boy something, I think. Whatever that is. I speak a lot of shit anyway, so I wouldn't.
Mitchy Boy 1986.
Is that the one? Is it? Right. So horse racing and football is pretty much a chat. You'll see an odd wee picture of my wee boy that's only just 7 weeks old, so he pops on every so often for a wee picture.
Fantastic, mate. Right, okay, Mitch, that is excellent. Thoroughly enjoyed that. Good luck to you. Good luck to your new family. Hope your team get pumped on Saturday. Then after that, you go and kick on. All right, brah?
Likewise, mate. You take care.